I'm Jacqueline Espo and I have expensive taste but a tight budget. My friends and I like to try new things, taste inventive food, and like most people, we're trying to eat healthy and organic. My brother's gonna be here in just a minute and I have no idea what I'm gonna be making today, but it's sure to be creative, delicious, and under 20 bucks. What's up, Scotty?
Hi, Jacqueline.
What'd you get for me today?
I got some dough.
This is phyllo dough.
I got some string beans.
String beans. Okay, these look really fresh. Good, really nice.
Thank you.
Falling all over the place.
I got some figs.
Figs. Now I'm surprised I knew that these were figs because these are actually white Turkish figs. And people normally think that all figs are black. They're used to black mission figs. These are a little bit different, a little bit more rare. They're supposed to be the best tasting figs in the world. They're a little bit more mild, a little less sweet than normal figs. What else do you have?
Well, I got some cheese that look delicious.
Some cheese. This is Port Salut cheese. It's actually a French cow's milk cheese. It has a mild, kind of tangy flavor with an orange edible rind.
And I got some rice.
This actually is not rice. This is kamut berries, actually found in ancient pyramids, and it's very similar to wheat. It's in the wheat family, but yet it's easily digestible by people that have gluten intolerance, so it's very good grain.
Well, it looks like rice to me.
Many people think that. Okay, some Italian flat leaf parsley. That'll be really nice, add a fresh flavor to some things.
Also got some mushrooms.
Some mushrooms. Now, do you know what kind of mushrooms these are?
I don't remember what they were called, but they looked delicious.
These are cremini mushrooms. They're very flavorful and very easy to cook with. You can use the whole mushroom.
And I got some chicken.
Chicken. These are boneless, skinless, organic chicken breasts. Actually, everything that we have here is organic except for the phyllo dough, which I can deal with. Very good choices. So let's see, what can we do with all of these things? You kind of got some crazy ingredients here.
Well, I want to make a delicious dinner for two.
And how much did you spend on all this?
I spent $20.
$20 for all of this, and it's organic?
Yes,
You're
it
sure?
is. Yes.
All right. I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna sear off these chicken breasts and give them a nice kind of crust to them. And I think I'm gonna do a little sauce with these beautiful cremini mushrooms that you have.
Yummy.
And a little bit of this Port Salut cheese to make the sauce a little bit creamy and luscious. And then the best way to do kamut berries is kind of simple. So I think I'm gonna toast them off in a pan and boil them so they have a nice toasty flavor. Then we'll cook them down in some liquid that I'll season. I'll mix it with some chopped parsley. We'll do some of these chopped fresh green beans in there for our vegetable. And then I'm even gonna make you a little dessert today.
Oh, wonderful.
I know that you're not a big fan of desserts, but this is gonna be very light. I'm gonna take the phyllo dough and I'm gonna layer it with some of these nice white Turkish figs. I might, as a secret ingredient, slide a little bit of this cheese in there for a little bit of creaminess. It is mild enough to do that with. And for a little bit of sweetness, I'm gonna use some honey.
Okay, great.
Okay? So let's get started. Okay, Scott, so the first thing we wanna get going is the kamut berries. Those are gonna take the longest out of everything. So I'm gonna get a nice hot pan. I'm gonna pour my kamut berries into a nice preheated hot pan.
Okay.
And put it on the stove to start toasting so it gets a nice nutty flavor to it.
Okay. And what is the heat on?
You want the heat to be on a nice low heat so it doesn't burn, so you can leave it sitting there for a couple of minutes and start prepping your other items.
Okay.
We have our chicken here. Now, do you know why we have two cutting boards out?
I have no idea why you have two cutting boards.
Okay, the green cutting board is gonna be for our produce, our vegetables, anything that's not gonna contaminate something else. And this white cutting board is something that is gonna stop us from cross-contaminating all of the other ingredients. So I'm gonna use my chicken and any other proteins or anything else that would be harmful to eat raw on this white cutting board. So I just want to make sure I have any large pieces of fat off of the chicken.
Now, is it always that way with the green and white? Or can you
Typically-
switch them around?
Typically in restaurants, the way that it works is green is for vegetables, red is for meat. So you want to kind of keep a different color in your cutting boards at your house as well, because you never know how clean you're getting these things, even if you wash them. And you want to kind of keep vegetables away from anything you're cutting chicken on, especially. I don't want you to have the salmonella.
No, I
Just gonna
definitely don't
rinse
want
off
that.
my hands from touching the chicken. We're gonna generously salt and pepper the chicken. Give me your hands.
Oh, yummy.
We have some coarse sea salt. That's not for now.
Oh,
Generously salt the chicken.
okay.
Grab some pepper. We're gonna coarsely pepper both sides.
Okay.
Right? Gonna get this going in a nice hot pan. I really have to turn the pan on now. I'm just gonna put this aside until my pan heats up, and we're gonna get started on the base for our sauce. So I'm gonna cut these mushrooms. I've already washed them. When washing mushrooms, you wanna make sure you don't submerge them in water. Mushrooms are going to absorb any water that you wash them in. So I just like to use a nice damp towel and wipe away the dirt. I'm going to slice it in half to kind of create a flat surface on one side so it doesn't roll around on my cutting board. Slice the mushrooms down.
See, if I was doing that, I would lose a fingertip.
You gonna give it a shot?
No, I do not.
So we're gonna cut all of our mushrooms down and start our sauce. Gonna add a little bit of oil to the pan just to coat the bottom. Pop
Now
that
why
back
do you-
on the stove.
Why do you do that? So it doesn't stick to it?
If I put the chicken in like that, yes, the chicken would definitely stick to the pan, and the oil's gonna help us get a nice, rich brown color on the outside of the chicken. It's gonna look
Okay.
nice and pretty.
What are we doing? We're opening up my delicious cheese.
Yes. I'm sure you want to taste a piece ahead of time.
I definitely want to taste a piece of this cheese. It is very hard to find, but it looks wonderful, and I do love cheese.
Something about most of these ingredients, if you are having trouble finding them, you can find them at most of your Whole Foods stores. Any gourmet supermarket, you'll be able to find the cheese. These cheese, the camu berries, the white mission figs.
Okay, that's where I found them. Oh, thank you so much. Now,
A little piece of the cheese.
oh, it's delicious
It's really
and very
mild,
messy.
but yet a little bit sharp. What kind of
very
cheese
good.
does it remind you of?
Like a soft Gouda.
That's exactly what I was thinking, actually. Wow. Like a soft Gouda, almost in between a Gouda and a Munster
I know
cheese.
my cheeses. I love cheese.
Because you're cheesy.
Yes, I am.
Now, I just want to check the color on my chicken.
Okay.
Still needs another minute. I want to get a
Now, how do
nice
you
brown
know?
color.
Now, how do you know what it's supposed to look like on the other side?
I'll show you when it's finished. You want a nice light brown color on it?
Okay.
I'm going to get rid of this dirty chicken cutting board. To make my cutting boards not stick, I just wet a paper towel, put it on the counter, and put the cutting board on top of that so it doesn't slide around on me.
I would have never known that. These little things you
It's a
don't know.
lot of things that you would never know without me, Scott.
I guess not.
Put my mushrooms to the side so I can prep these green beans.
Okay.
Now that you've tasted your cheese, I'll put that to the side as well. Now the green beans, I've already washed. And you
Right.
just want to make sure that, you see this end,
Yes.
fibrous end? That's the part of the green bean that comes from the stalk. You just want to make sure that you rip that off, clean all of those off.
Okay.
You can help me with that. So
I
if
can
you see-
certainly try.
See
I
any
am
of
going
those
to be
little
doing
ends?
this.
Rip them off. Stack your green beans up and chop them about half of an inch.
Oh,
You want to chop them kind of small so that, like I said earlier, they do not interfere with the texture of the berries, wheat berries. I'm starting to smell that chicken, so I'm going to check on it again. See this nice brown color
Yes,
I have
I
over
do.
here?
That's what it's supposed to look
That's
like?
exactly what you want. Back onto the burner, so crisp on that side.
Okay.
So we're gonna get started on this dessert while our chicken's cooking up. I just want to chop these figs a little bit coarse.
Okay.
Just kind of open them up. The
And I
outsides
get-
are a little tough.
And I guess that means coarse. Rough to me?
Rough chop, exactly. Coarse means rough. So I'm gonna rough chop these figs and pour them into a little liquid. You can pour them into water to add moisture back into them if you'd like, but I like pouring them into a little bit of
Wine.
sweet white wine.
That sounds delicious.
Add some flavor to it. So a Riesling or a nice Sauvignon Blanc would be good.
Okay.
Really any white wine that you have. I'm using a Riesling today. So I'm just gonna get these on the stove and heat them very low heat. So now I've taken my chicken off of the pan. It's
Right.
just brown, but it's still raw on the inside. Feel it? Feel how soft it is?
Yeah.
That means that it's not cooked.
Okay. Yeah.
You want it to be nice and firm, meaning that means that it's cooked. So right now it's partially cooked. I'm gonna keep it to the side. And I'm
Okay.
gonna do what's called deglazing. See all of this juice and chickeny
Grease,
goodness
yes.
on the bottom of the pan? I wanna get that up because all of that is flavor. So I'm gonna add a little bit of liquid. You could add wine, any kind of liquor that you'd like. Brandy would be awesome in this.
How about Jameson?
But Jameson would be okay. I know you're a big fan. Since we're on a budget, we're gonna stick to a little bit of water.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
About a tablespoon of water to the pan and put it
Okay.
back on the heat. That water is gonna dissolve away all of that chickeny goodness on the bottom and bring it up into the sauce. The cheese, this cheese is very soft, so it's gonna melt up really nice in the sauce. So I don't really have to do much to it. Just gonna cut it down a little bit more so that it'll be easy to incorporate. It's actually really gooey. This is gonna melt up really good.
Looks fantastic. I might just take a piece while you're doing that.
Okay, just a little because we have to save a little bit for our dessert,
Oh.
which is gonna
Alright.
be interesting. These flavors, the figs, the wine, the honey. This is phyllo dough. It's very delicate, very thin pieces of dough, almost like pieces of tissue paper. They rip very easily.
And you have to be very careful with that.
Yes, very delicate. So I'm just gonna open up the dough and lay it out in front of me. Our chicken juices have come up. The water has evaporated away. So we're gonna pour a bit of oil. You don't wanna do this when the water's still in there because it's gonna spit all over you. Just pour a little bit of oil in the pan. Add my mushrooms. I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of oil since we don't have butter. Butter would be the preferred choice here. Just a drop of oil, smear it around with your hands. You could actually do this for me. Just smear it around and coat the whole bottom.
Ah, he puts his hand in there and smears it around. And now what do you do?
I'm going to take a piece of phyllo dough. Try to take one piece at a time. It's okay if it rips. It's definitely gonna rip on you. There's
Right, it looks very hard to do.
kind of no way to avoid it. Well, I'll let you try it so you feel a little bit confident in it. Okay. So just going to get it everywhere. Now the oil is gonna kind of puff up the dough a little bit and create those flaky layers in between that we want.
Yummy.
Now keep layering the dough, and I'm gonna check on our mushrooms.
All right.
Our mushrooms are sauteing up nicely. They're getting a nice color. Okay, Scott, so we've been layering our phyllo dough with that oil since we didn't
Right.
have butter. Remember, butter would be our first choice.
Okay,
And
butter.
a little bit of honey for sweetness. Now, I've put the honey in the microwave to get it nice and liquid so it's easy to pour. You want to get a generous amount of honey because that's really what's sweetening our dessert. The figs, remember, are not that sweet. Now our cheese fig mixture, added some of that Port salad cheese to the fig mixture.
Oh,
Do you want to taste a little bit of it?
yes, I would love to.
I'll give you a little piece of fig. Now you're going to taste the sweetness of the fig and that little hint of tanginess from the cheese in there. It's really faint. It just gives it that kind of something extra that you can't put your finger on.
That's fair.
Okay, so I just smear my figs down the center of my phyllo dough.
Okay.
So you can kind of see where it's going to roll into a bundle now.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to take it from one end and roll away from me. So I'm going to kind of roll it on top of those figs. Roll the other side in.
Right. And then,
I'm just going to spoon a little bit of this egg wash. Egg wash is just one whole egg with about a tablespoon or two of water to thin it out. This is just going to give us a nice shiny brown crust on the outside of our pastry. I'm just going to drizzle a little bit on top. And again, use my fingers as the pastry brush.
well, I will have to get myself a pastry brush.
A paintbrush even, if you had one that has never been used, a new paintbrush would be fine as well to substitute out if you don't have a
Okay.
pastry brush. I just want to get that egg wash all over every edge.
And then what do we do next?
I'm just going to flip this
Oh, the flip.
and get this side with the egg wash as well.
Now, do I get to play with it too here?
You can, and if you are not single like us and you have kids, this is a fun thing for kids to do also. I'm going to pop this in a 375-degree oven until everything's cooked in here, just until the dough browns up. Okay, so now our sauce is almost done. I put that cheese
Okay.
into the little bit of dairy base and mushrooms, and it's cooking down into a nice creamy, cheesy sauce.
Oh,
Smell that?
that smells so good.
Our sauce is just about done. I'm gonna pull it off the heat, and now we're gonna finish up our kamut. So we get a nice hot pan
Right?
and add a little bit more oil to it, just a touch.
Just a little bit of oil.
Coat the bottom, like
Oh.
swirl it all around. I'm gonna add my chopped green beans. Hear that light sizzle?
Yes.
It's exactly what you want. Just a nice light, faint sizzle. Right? Get those going. I'm gonna saute those just for a minute. I still want them to be nice and firm and al dente, but I want them to be a little bit tender. Gonna add a little salt and pepper for some flavor, and then we're gonna toss them in with our kamut and some fresh parsley. I'm gonna chop this fresh parsley. Smell how beautiful that smells.
Oh, it smells so nice.
It smells so fresh. I'm just gonna take my sharp knife, that should be sharpened a little more probably, and go against the stems of the parsley to get some of the leaves off.
And you're doing that just to get the leaves off.
Yes, it's a much quicker way to take the leaves off of the parsley instead of going one by one.
Right.
Saves you a lot of time. And the end result is pretty much the same.
And we just pick off the stems.
You do not want a lot of stems in this
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to be a little bit tough to eat. So I'm going to gather up all of my parsley,
Okay.
give it a rough chop, just run my knife through it twice.
Okay.
Once and twice. Alright, I'm going to set that aside. I like that there's some big pieces of parsley in here so you can really tell what you're eating. Slightly brown color on my string beans. I'm going to add my parsley.
Right.
All that parsley in there, toss it together. Now I can add my kamut berries.
Ah, the stuff I thought that was rice.
Exactly. To plate the kamut berries and green bean salad down on the bottom. You can really smell that fresh, fragrant parsley
Yes, I can.
and the nuttiness of the kamut berries. Okay. Do not touch the pan like I just did with your bare hands. Luckily, I have
I made a mental note of that.
Luckily, I can handle the heat. Now that the chicken's cooked, it's fine to put on my regular cutting board. So I'm just gonna hold it with my tongs and cut it on some pretty biased slices. Nice, juicy, fully cooked chicken.
Everything smells so good.
Okay, I'm just gonna plate up this chicken. I'm gonna spoon some of this thick, cheesy mushroom mixture on top of our chicken. Kind of want to leave it more towards the edges so you can still see that beautiful color, but a little bit on top as well. Both pieces. Get some of that chunky mushroom down there. Smell that tangy cheese.
I do. I'm ready to eat it.
Nuttiness. All right. Cut a nice piece for yourself. Nice piece for you. Nice piece for me.
And I will definitely be impressing all the ladies with this.
Give this parsley Kamut green bean salad a try.
This is incredible. And for only $20.
You have that really nutty Kamut berry. The extremely fresh, fragrant parsley. And the tender, yet still crisp green beans. Perfect, healthy meal for under 20 bucks for 2 people.
I'm loving it.
And we didn't have to leave the house. No designated driver necessary.
That looks so yummy.
It's gonna be sweet, but not too sweet.
Okay.
Nice and flaky. Fruity. I'm just gonna cut into some pretty triangles here. Actually, I'm gonna use my serrated knife. It'll destroy the dough a little bit less.
Okay.
Cut through the pastry nicely.
Now why can't I just cut it straight across?
This is just for presentation purposes. If you wanted to, you really could.
Okay. I
I'm
smell
just
that
trying
fig
to cut
coming
it
out.
into some nice, pretty triangles. See the inside? You can see the fig, the layers of pastry, that honey layered in there.
Yeah, let's put it on the plate and eat it.
You don't even want to wait till I get to the plate, do you? Just nice presentation. Okay, and now, taste a piece for us. Sneak a piece before we bring it to the table.
Oh, that smells great.
Careful, it's a little hot. You have that Riesling in there with the figs. You have that port salad cheese. You have that little bit of tanginess, slight saltiness in there. The sweet honey.
Oh, God.
And the flaky pastry. See, Scott, you can make a delicious, creative, inventive meal for under 20 bucks for 2 people.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful. You did a great job. I love it.